Barnabas, in addition to 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
What's Joe Biden going to do? Is he going to stay in the race? Is he going to drop out? Here's my answer. I am running, and we're going to win. I'm not going to change it. You know, in recent weeks, it's become clear to me that I need to unite my party in this critical endeavor. So I've decided the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation.
Everybody does play the fool sometimes, and that fool is Joe Biden because those two clips were taken 12 days apart. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Thinking Logically. I'm your host, Joseph Anthony Corsi. Ryan, do you think he feels like a horse's patoot right now?
You know what? You guys called it. That's the only reason I knew it was coming. Nobody else was saying this. You guys were saying this. Listen to Thinking Logically, everybody.
Thank you. That is our producer, Ryan, everyone. The handsome Ryan. On the phone, also, Latin mass extremist, Mr. Gordy Mark. How are you? Are you there?
I am here, Joe. What's up, Ryan? It's good to be with you guys again. The news cycle just needs to slow down a little bit, just a little bit. It's hard to keep up with everything going on, Joe. Speaking of Latin masses, we saw Christopher Wray testify, FBI Director Christopher Wray testify in front of the House Judiciary Committee yesterday. So another eventful day in Washington, Joe.
We're going to get to it all. But first, let's get that address. Joe Biden gave an address from the Oval Office last night, but I still have some questions. Number one, why did Joe Biden drop out of the race again? What reason did he give? Did I miss something? He was, quote, all in a week ago, and we still don't know what changed. And it's weird considering he's had one of the greatest presidential terms in modern history, according to the scholars and historians, maybe, who knows? I mean, he even said his record merits another term last night. So why not, Joe? What changed in the last 2 weeks? Why are you dropping out? Is it COVID? How does someone that's vaccinated 13 times even get COVID in the middle of July? Why is he passing, right? Why is he passing the torch all of a sudden? We don't know. Regardless, he looked weak and frail, definitely skinnier, and bruises all over his face. But remember, we're told he's vigorous and that he has no serious health problems. But something is a little bit off, there's no doubt. I've held off on saying this here for a while. And Mark, I know we've talked about this in private, but I think Joe Biden may be suffering from TIAs or mini strokes. I'll bet he had one last week in Vegas. And if that's true, I'll bet he had more than just one in Vegas. I bet he had one either right before or right after the debate. Remember, the day of the debate, when it came out, they were going to prepare for the possibility of a medical emergency that night. I think Mark said that. What was that all about? Well, maybe that was the reason why. And it makes sense if you think about it. It's pretty much common knowledge at this point. They drug up Joe Biden when he has to make a speech or appearance somewhere. That causes stress on the body. Parlay that with the fact he was in Europe the week before the debate and was traveling a lot more than usual since it is an election year. Like I said, these medications we speculate Joe Biden is on, a lot of them cause vasoconstriction, I believe is the term, and I wonder if that increases the likelihood of a stroke or something. Probably does. Who knows? Maybe this is from a blood clot in the brain from the 30 boosters he had since late 2020, early 2021. Mark, I know we're supposed to be discussing whether it was a bullet or just shrapnel from a bullet that struck Trump's ear, but this is also important, right? I mean, considering Joe Biden is the current president and in charge of running the country, right? This is also important.
81 million votes, Joe. I mean, they're calling this the most successful presidency of the in the last 100 years. I mean, where's the outcry? Where's everyone that voted for him? All of these 81 million supporters that voted for him in 2020, where are they? Something is off, Joe. I told you this in private. Something feels very, very off with all of this. I can't pinpoint it, but I just feel very, very uneasy about all of this and what we're seeing transpire in the last week or so. We talked about it on Monday. The Trump assassination attempts, CrowdStrike, and Biden not running again. All of a sudden, they basically install Kamala. And Chuck Schumer, Chucky baby, goes on and has a press conference and has the balls to say this was a grassroots effort from the bottom up. How stupid do you think the American people are? This was a top-down, party elite selection. Why hasn't Barack Obama endorsed Kamala yet? I've heard it's coming soon if he hasn't. Apparently there's issues and doubts with him and whether she could be elected or not, or whether she could beat Trump. Let's talk about this speech last night, Joe. Again, I don't want to go down the conspiracy rabbit hole, but why did Joe Biden look like he was 6'6" walking out of the Oval Office?
I have a conspiracy. You saw the bruises on his face, like someone. I think they may have put him on like a medieval rack and stretched him out or something. What else can it be? I mean,
I don't know. It's all very, very bizarre. I'm not trying to sound like some sort of conspiracy there. It's crackpot, but he looked significantly taller last night than he has in the past. We saw Trump post a picture on Air Force One that was peak Trump. He posted a picture of himself. Not on Air Force One. It was on Trump Force One. Freudian slip. I'm not the one that called it Air Force One. I think that was somebody else in the media called it Air Force One. But there was a TV, and Trump posted a picture to his social media account with himself in front of the TV as Biden was speaking. Let's talk about the watch, Joe.
Hold on real quick. I just want to post, because this deserves a noteworthy mention. Mark Raimondi tweeted this. He said, talking about the picture, "This is how WWE wrestlers watch Raw backstage when the camera pans to them." But go ahead.
Let's talk about the watch. Somebody was able to zoom in on his watch on his wrist. It was not the actual time that he was speaking. So, meaning that this was a recording. He recorded this earlier in the day, probably around somewhere around like 6:30ish. Let's talk about the Biden family photo that was. They all sat around the Resolute desk in the Oval there, and then there was another picture of them crying as he was done speaking. Something feels very, very wrong here. Again, he's either terminally ill, or they staged a coup against him, but something just doesn't seem right, Joe, with all this.
Yeah, it looked more like a hostage video than a presidential address, as if someone were holding a gun against his ribs as he spoke. You're not lying. It was weird, right? Is it just me? Did you hear him say the winter of, was it the winter of possibility? Yeah, I stood in that winter. We stood in a winter apparel. I'm reading it as it's quoted. I stood in that winter. We stood in a winter apparel and a winter of possibilities. Peril and possibilities. Makes no sense at all. Is he talking about the winter of severe illness and death that he was predicting? I didn't get that part.
One can only wonder what he was talking about. He definitely had some speech issues. I mean, Joe, my mother passed away 3 years ago. And to be fully transparent, some of the things that were happening toward the end of her life, the speech, the appearance, I'm seeing the same things with Biden. I'm just speculating here.
We laugh, but it's sad. Don't be mad at us for laughing. Be mad at his family. Be mad at the people that are forcing him to do this, that are forcing him to still be the empty suit in the White House. And I got to bring this up, though. You hear his speech when he said about the Supreme Court. He mentioned them. Is he going to go like balls to the wall and try to force this stuff through for the next few months? It's not going to be him, but they're using him as a shield, as a poop shield to get stuff. They're just going to accelerate it. It's just going to go faster and faster, I think.
Yeah. No one seems to be questioning, and I say no one in the media, the mainstream media seems to be questioning Kamala at all. This is what we're being force-fed now. We're being force-fed, I know we're going to get into this, but a steady diet of revisionist history of her past and things like that. remind me, Joe, how many states did she win? How many delegates did she win when she ran for president in 2020?
Let me punch it into the zero.
0.
She never got a vote, I don't
She
think,
wasn't-
really. Ever.
Yeah, she did. She wasn't popular in 2020, and she's not popular now. But somehow we're being force-fed to believe that she's this cool. What is this Brett Summer thing I'm hearing about?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe it's the.
It's also cringe-worthy to me. Joe, again, this just feels like we're being, something larger is taking place.
I want to make one more point about Biden, then we're going to move on to Trump rally in North Carolina. Remember Mitch McConnell fell down some steps all of a sudden a couple times, and all of a sudden he got on board with what was being done at the time. I'm just saying, Joe Biden had that bruise on his cheek. He all of a sudden wants to resign. I'll leave it at that. Maybe he just wants to spend more time with his family where he could, I don't know, shower them with love, especially Ashley. Shower her with love. All right, let's move on to the Trump rally in North Carolina. Go ahead, Mark.
Well, hold on, Joe. Let's talk about Ashley Biden's. What was she wearing last night? What is up with that?
She was a little bit underdressed. She was wearing a Olympic sweatshirt with the Olympics. Could it mean something going on after the Olympics that they tried to send a message? That's conspiracy land over there. That's the land of, hey, this 20-year-old kid didn't commit the shooting stuff. We can't even go there. Did you? Let's go on to the rally in North Carolina. Did you watch it? I know you watched it. I didn't get a chance. I didn't even really see too many clips of it. He went after Kamala, I think.
I watched a little bit of this last night.
Kamala.
I watched a little bit last night. I probably the first half of it. Again, just an unbelievable crowd, huge crowd. It was an indoor facility in Charlotte, North Carolina. Several thousand people that were outside watching as well. Totally electric. Joe, is this the new normal, though, for the rallies? I mean, the Secret Service has told Trump, no more outdoor rallies because we can't guarantee your safety. What does that mean? Is that a warning that we're going to try to kill you again?
If it's not a warning...
$3 billion?
Well, if it's not a warning... Again, the no outside rally, that report doesn't make any sense. Clearly, the Trump camp didn't say that. So who's the source? I don't know. I'll look again. But isn't that considered election interference? Joe Biden's Department of Homeland Security can't protect a political rival running for president. Trump has been holding huge outdoor rallies for nearly a decade at this point. And suddenly now it's a problem? Now it's because of Kamala. They know no one will show up for her as soon as this honeymoon phase is over. So might as well use the failed assassination attempt to benefit them somehow. Only one candidate right now can hold big outdoor rallies, and they don't want that to happen for some reason. But remember, we already told you the reason. It's because they have to make the steal believable this time. There's no COVID to keep people indoors. This is how you do it. Also, maybe, like you said, it evens the playing field money-wise. I didn't even think about that. Think about it. Will it cost the Trump campaign more money to rent out indoor venues like this, or does it cost more money to pay a farmer to hold a rally on his property? I don't know.
Why don't they just put bulletproof shields around him when he speaks in an outdoor rally? Seems like a pretty easy solution to me.
The fact that it even the Trump mobile, like the Pope mobile, where he has to be wheeled around in a glass box. Are you kidding me? That's where we are. And he's from what I understand, he's pretty popular. Not 81 million votes popular, but he's pretty popular. And he polled pretty well, and he had everything against him, and he still managed to win the Republican nomination while under bogus lawfare. He still managed to. Look, there's too many things to list, so why even do it? The fact is, he's pretty popular. Who wants to kill him and why? I have no idea, Mark. I have no idea. I have no idea who wants to.
Yeah, I just have a bad feeling about all this, Joe. I don't know why. Maybe I'm being pessimistic about the whole thing, but I know I'm not alone in saying that this. I'm afraid of the repeat of 2020 is going to happen with Kamala.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you got to make it believable, and it's the honeymoon phase isn't over. It's believable right now. We'll see how it ends up in a few weeks here, because like I said, we're 5 days into Kamala Harris. And we're going to cover her after the break when we return. And that's the question. When we return, Kamala, was she the border czar or wasn't she? We'll go over the receipts when we return here to Thinking Logically on our hometown, 99.3 FM, WBVP.
Vice President Harris was not a border czar.
Meantime, Vice President and border czar Kamala Harris facing some backlash.
What he said about Harris and immigration was not true. She was never appointed border czar.
And this will be her first visit to the U.S.-Mexico border region since she was appointed as the border czar.
Hey guys, it's Joe from Thinking Logically here to tell you about a company I've been using since I got my learner's permit. Grossi & Associates. Using their state-of-the-art equipment, Grossi & Associates offers collision repair for all makes and models, both foreign and domestic. There's a reason why they are voted Best of the Valley year in and year out. They are the collision experts. Grossi & Associates. Call today for a free estimate. It's Joe again from Thinking Logically, here to tell you about one of my favorite clothing items, the MyPillow hoodie. Two things I love the most about this hoodie are how it fits and how it feels. This hoodie is extremely roomy, and its terry cloth material makes it lighter than any other hoodie I own. Use promo code LOGIC to maximize your savings. The MyPillow hoodie. Get yours today. Cash for your house. PGHbuyers.com. If you have an unwanted house but don't want the hassle of selling, visit PGHbuyers.com to see if PGHbuyers.com can help. No inspections and a fair cash offer. Visit PGHbuyers.com to sell that unwanted property for a fair price today. It's Joe Corsi here from Thinking Logically to tell you about Beaver County's #1 realtor, Mark Gullah with RE/MAX Select Realty. With over 10 years experience, Mark knows all the ins and outs of the real estate business, so whether you're looking to rent, buy, sell, or swap your house, you can rely on Mark to take the hassle out. Mark Gullah of RE/MAX Select Realty, going above and beyond.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
People gonna have to counter the misinformation. You already hear folks talking about the border czar. She wasn't the border czar.
President Biden tapped Vice President Kamala Harris, to be the border czar.
Now, she wasn't the border czar. That's what Republicans labeled her.
They were very critical of Kamala Harris, especially in her role as border czar.
Now what she's up against is folks lying about her border record, calling her a border czar.
Kamala Harris, who was appointed as the border czar.
Welcome back to Thinking Logically here on 99.3 FM WBVP. Is your head spinning yet? Is Kamala Harris the border czar, or isn't she the border czar? Some of those clips were from 2021, 2022, even 2023. Some of those were from this week. See if you can figure out which is which. If you're listening on the radio, if you're listening on Facebook Live, you could comment. Is Kamala Harris, is she the border czar? Was she the border czar? Yes or no? Again, there's no wrong answer. You could say yes or no. You'll still be right. But that's the story. So yesterday, Axios and many, many others claimed the Trump campaign and Republicans who gave Kamala Harris the title border czar. But this is the headline from Axios. I'll read it from you. The Trump campaign and Republicans have tagged Harris repeatedly with the border czar title, which she never actually had. Oh, really? Well, for one, Joe Biden is on video making the appointment of Kamala, border czar. But I'll just read you a quote, Axios, from your own article back in 2021. This is quote, "The number of unaccompanied minors crossing the border has reached crisis levels. Kamala Harris, Kamala at the time, appointed by Biden as the border czar, said she will be looking for the root causes that drive migration." But it got worse there for Axios, if you can believe that, because once people on the internet and social media, X, started to call them out for their lying, what did they do? They doubled down. They just added an editor's note to the article from 2021, and I'll read you that editor's note right now. The article has been The article has been updated and clarified to note that Axios was among the news outlets that incorrectly labeled Vice President Harris a, quote, border czar. See, this is why you can't trust the media to tell the truth anymore, ever. It's not just Axios either. We also learned that a web page that rated Kamala Harris the most liberal senator in 2019 suddenly just disappeared. I'll quote the book. 1984. Every record has been destroyed or falsified. Every book has been rewritten. Every picture has been repainted. Do I have to go on, Mark? They have no shame, do they not?
Joe, this is why in our first segment I said I feel very uneasy about all this. I mean, they are literally erasing and rewriting history, the mainstream media. Joe, explain to our listeners why they would want to be disassociating Kamala Harris with the border. Why are they going to these lengths to say that she wasn't the border czar? Why would they be doing that?
God forbid something happens in the next 3 months in this country and an illegal alien does it. That would be well, the Republicans pounce. Republicans pounce on not border czar Kamala Harris's record as vice president. I mean, you could write the articles now if you want.
It's truly unbelievable. And then, like you said, they deleted a web page. I believe did you say it was Axios?
I don't think it was Axios. I think it was a web page that like graded out senators, and she was graded as like one of the most, maybe the most liberal, or one of the most
liberal senator out of 100.
That's pretty good. 99, 100 percentile. I've never seen anyone in the 100th percentile.
Listen, we are in dangerous territory here, Joe and Ryan, if she is elected president. I mean, or is installed as president, I should say. I mean, she will make Biden look like Ronald Reagan. That's how far to the left she is. And the mainstream media is just complicit in all of it. You know, they're going to make her look cool. What, she was on RuPaul today, right?
Oh, God, I didn't know that. Why would you tell me that?
And Donald Trump was meeting with foreign leaders to try to prevent World War III, and she's on RuPaul, courting the LGBTQIA 2A plus groups. I don't know.
You gotta work.
There was a tweet that said we have finally entered the 10th layer of hell or something like that.
Jeez. Did you see? Did you see they voted? I think it was it the House? Yeah, the House voted in favor of a resolution condemning border czar Kamala Harris for the open border catastrophe. 6 Democrats voted with every Republican, and it was Golden, Dawn Davis, Kuehler. I don't know who else. I don't know.
Fantastic move, by the way.
Yeah. Like I said, I'd like to know more about these 6 Democrats and why. You think they'll be beat up like Biden was in a week or two? They'll get the Mitch McConnell treatment?
So here's the deal, Joe. When Trump debates her now and ties her to the border, she's just going to say, no, I wasn't the border czar. And can quote all these news sources.
Exactly.
Said that she's not the border czar.
Good point. But what happens, Mark, when he hits her on Jussie Smollett? That's going to be interesting. And Ryan has the audio. We'll play it in a second. But remember, Kamala Harris said what she said about, just play the audio of what she said. It was a modern day lynching.
Which tweet? What tweet? About saying that it is a modern day lynching that,
sorry.
Jussie Smollett.
Okay, so I will say this about that case. I think that the facts are still unfolding, and I'm very concerned about, obviously.
Okay, now you can't see the video. I was watching at the same time. That question, she's a politician. Politicians get hard questions all the time. That floored her. She had no idea how to react or respond. She looked at her staffer or chief of staff, whoever it was, some guy with a hat right behind her. And you know what he did? He looked behind him at someone in the audience because he didn't know what to say either. She's not intelligence-wise like Biden, where she is deteriorating and she can't. But she's not a smart person. Best case scenario, she's in we talk about percentiles, she's in the 50th percentile in the country as far as intelligence, but that's where she's going to struggle. She's not a politician. She doesn't know how to act and answer questions like a politician. She can't dance around. That's how a rookie would answer a hard question. Like I said, she looked back at her staffer, and her staffer looked back at someone else completely confused. No idea what to say. Anytime she's asked a question, what are the Dems, what are they banking on? The media playing patty cake with her and being able to get away with it. Watch. As Joe Biden would say, watch, pal, watch me. By the way, real quick.
She doesn't have a good
I just want to make the point because we're on Jussie Smollett. Why does Kamala never bring up the pipe bomb on January 6th that was literally right next to her feet that she walked past? Why doesn't anyone in the media, especially now, that's a good narrative to have? The pipe bomb, January 6th, Kamala Harris. Boom, that's your counter to the Jussie Smollett. But they'll never bring that up, and I don't know why for the life of me.
Yeah, I mean, you never hear her talk about it.
I wonder why.
Apparently, she doesn't have a good relationship with her staff, Joe. I'm sure you read that same article I read that almost all of her staff has turned over since she was became vice president.
Was it 90%?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, apparently she, berates her staff when they don't, when things go wrong and, and accuses them of not preparing her and all this other things, you hear. But that's all hearsay, Joe, so who knows?
Let's see here. Do we want to cover the polls or Act Blue? What do you want to get into first here? Because I really want to cover this Kamala thing. Kamala, I'm never going to get this right. I am never going to get this right, and I'm going to get sued here probably for getting her name wrong.
Well, what is it? Is it Kamala or Kamala?
Kamala, according to what's his name, Montel, back in the early 2000s. Kamala. He said it twice. Kamala.
Trump calls her Kamala.
No, they'll get on for that. Let's go over the polls. What is she at? Like, now remember, polls are designed to shape opinion, but did I read a poll, Mark, that she's polling like 4 points ahead of Donald Trump or something crazy all of a sudden, magically?
One poll showed her up, I think, 2 nationally. I think a Reuters poll that actually polled 25% more Democrats than Republicans.
Interesting.
So she's polling a little bit better than Biden against Trump, but still behind Trump in most of the swing states and nationally. So we have the DNC coming up in a couple of weeks, so I'm sure she'll get a bump from that. So I look for things to tighten up even more. She'll be within the margin of fraud. Let's put it that way.
Again, how does Kamala help win votes in the Rust Belt? I have to ask that question. I'm sure no one has an answer because I don't see how she could. And did you see what Black Lives Matter put out? Remember, Kamala, she ain't black, as Joe Biden would put it. Did you see what Black Lives Matter put out on, I think it was X. Yeah. Kamala was, this is from Black Lives Matter, 2020 Black Lives Matter. Kamala was selected, not elected. But the solution is simple. Join us in calling the Democrats to let American people vote in an informal virtual primary and online vote ASAP so our communities can weigh in on this unprecedented moment. Democracy demands no less. Sign the petition to the DNC. I mean, I applaud Black Lives Matter, but this is their first time doing this. And an all online vote, the Democrats would just rig anyway. So try again, Black Lives Matter. Go back to the drawing board. This must be your first time. But I commend the effort. You are right in everything there. I have to, I'm being genuine. So when you lose Black Lives Matter, come on.
When I saw that, I'm like, okay, they're actually calling them out.
So let's get into this Act Blue. I don't understand what's going on. They disabled their credit card verification process. So as long as the card numbers are valid, the same name and addresses don't need to match the actual owner's card. Now, does anyone know why that could be bad for donations? I mean, think about it. And also, this is from Tony Saraguda. I don't even know what his name is. Tony Saruga on X. There are over 400,000 brand new Act Blue accounts in the past 30 days. Remember those emails begging for $3, $2, $1 donations? It was never about the actual donation, but setting up these donors with Act Blue accounts to facilitate their scam. That's interesting. So are they funneling money illegally to Kamala Harris and her campaign, Mark?
Yeah, it looks like it. I think I forget who was it. Forget the guy's name. He donated, what was it, several $1 million. I mean, for our listeners, there was a maximum amount you could donate, right, Joe? I think it's $3,300, correct?
Yes. And they need money.
So when you have someone like this gentleman, I forget his name, donate several million, you can't legally document that as a donation from this person. It has to be spread out over several people to make it look like the maximum donation was $3,300. if I have my information correct. Correct me if I'm wrong. But they said like a teacher in Virginia, I think it was, retired. They showed them making like several $100,000 worth of donations.
That's insane.
Yeah. So they find registered Democrats, and then they just attribute little donations to each one. I mean, it's complete fraud. You know, who's going to call them out on it?
Republicans, if they had a spine. Again, they could call them out for the Biden campaign turning over all the donations to another. Picture you donated, because people say it doesn't matter. She was on the ticket. If I donated to Trump and Trump was assassinated and they picked someone else I didn't like, I'd want my money back. If I donated and they just out of the blue, Trump said, I'm not running, so-and-so is running, or I'd want my money back. Wouldn't you? I mean, right? Call me crazy, but I'd want my money back. I should have the option. And Jack Posobiec puts out, Trump got convicted of writing a check with non-campaign funds as a political finance felony. The Biden campaign just turned over all their donations to another candidate who didn't have 1 cent donated to her, and prosecutors aren't even curious, and they're lucky they're not, and they're not going to be. Look, this may have been their Henry Hill, why would you do that, Karen moment? Because they needed that money, and they need to take it away. Why would you do that, Karen? We needed that money.
Karen, why would you do that?
They don't care. They'll get away with it. They'll just say, swap the money over. Who cares? It probably wasn't even their money. It was someone else, big donor, doing it in secret.
No one's saying anything. You know, this is what I'm worried about, Joe. If they try to steal this election, you know.
Well, like I said, the honeymoon.
It's going to be the same thing as 2020 if they do it again.
Look how she's
They'll
polling.
dismiss everything on standing. You know, you'll be called.
People are awake
racist
now.
Or a conspiracy theorist. You know, blah blah blah.
People are bringing this up before the election this time, at least. We'll see. But remember, the honeymoon phase isn't over yet, and she's still not polling that well. Maybe and that'll be our next topic right now. When she picks a VP, maybe she'll get another little bump. And it's being reported that Eric Holder, of all people, was helping Kamala picking out her vice president. That's not strange at all. We told you weeks ago Obama was behind this. Eric Holder being the one involved is just 1 degree of separation from Barack Obama. He's the underboss. Eric Holder is the underboss, walking from house to house with the messages from the boss. Also, do you see why Susan Rice left the Biden administration when she did? She knew this was coming. She knew. She always knew. Do you want to go into, we have the flag burning. We got about 2 or 3 minutes left. We got the flags being burned. We have so much.
Going back to the vice president thing.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So the vice president, is it going to be Shapiro? Who's it going to? I don't see how it can after the flags being burned, which we're going to cover in a second. But who could it be?
Mark Kelly from Arizona. You're hearing his name. I do think it'll be a white male. That's my prediction.
Mark Kelly, the astronaut, is probably the best. You show up Arizona. I don't see how it could be Shapiro with this whole flag burning thing. I don't know who my money's on. I don't have anyone. Like I said, I don't think she'll be the nominee in the end anyway. So let's cover what happened yesterday with the January 6th insurrection. That wasn't a January 6th insurrection. It was just a bunch of Hamas supporters that were white women burning flags, American flags, in the U.S. capital of Washington, D.C. So all 3 American flags at Union Station in D.C. were taken down, burned, and replaced with Palestinian flags by pro-Palestinian Kamala Harris supporters. I don't know if they were Kamala. I should hold off on that. Maybe they weren't. But, Mark, why are these people not arrested in jail?
Joe, listen to this. And to our listeners, imagine if these people were Trump supporters and they raised up MAGA flags in Union Station. What would that look like today?
That would be an insurrection. It's been defined. All right. Even if you walk through the velvet rope, it's still an insurrection. They were spray painting. They didn't. I wonder if they'll use facial recognition technology. They should, because they did on January 6th. I mean, they're being very lazy here. I wonder what they'll find. Mark.
I don't, Joe. I don't understand why the DOJ is so soft on these criminals, these protesters that are desecrating monuments, that are burning flags. Why are they so soft on these people? I don't truly understand it.
I don't know, but we're going to take a break here. Go ahead. No, go ahead. I don't want to cut you off.
No, I was just going to say, You know, when you say back to January 6th, and then you look at what happened yesterday, it just doesn't make any sense.
Well, just to be fair, Kamala Harris, I'm never going to get this right, ever. Kamala Harris, she condemned the violent protest in D.C. and said any individuals associating with the brutal terrorist organization, Hamas, she downplayed it. But remember, she also helped bail people out in 2020, and that'll be brought up, I think, during the debates. So it's right there. Anything else, Mark? Are you going to be here after the break or no?
She created a bail fund, remember?
Yes.
For the BLM protesters in the summer of love in 2020.
I wonder if that'll get brought up during the debates if she makes it that far. I don't know, but stay tuned. We're going to take a break ourselves. You're listening to Thinking Logical, 99.3 FM, WBVP.
You know, when Joe Biden shuffles in front of the cameras to answer scripted questions during the day, he lies like Don King. But what you don't know is, when he goes to sleep at night, he lies like an Egyptian king because he uses MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. Grown only in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River, its long staple cotton makes it ultra soft and breathable. Use the promo code LOGIC to maximize your savings on this amazing product.
Hey guys, it's Joe from Thinking Logically here to tell you about a company I've been using since I got my learner's permit. Grossi & Associates. Using their state-of-the-art equipment, Grossi & Associates offers collision repair for all makes and models, both foreign and domestic. There's a reason why they are voted Best of the Valley year in and year out. They are the collision experts. Grossi & Associates. Call today for a free estimate.
It's Joe Corsi here from Thinking Logically to tell you about Beaver County's #1 realtor, Mark Galla with RE/MAX Select Realty. With over 10 years experience, Mark knows all the ins and outs of the real estate business, so whether you're looking to rent, buy, sell, or swap your house, you can rely on Mark to take the hassle out. Mark Galla of RE/MAX Select Realty, going above and beyond. Cash for your house. PGHbuyers.com. If you have an unwanted house but don't want the hassle of selling, visit PGHbuyers.com to see if PGHbuyers.com can help. No inspections and a fair cash offer. Visit PGHbuyers.com to sell that unwanted property for a fair price today.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Welcome back to Thinking Logically here on 99.3 FM WBVP, brought to you by So Fresh, So Clean Pressure Washing. Whether you need your house washed, your driveway cleaned, your patio done, fences, gutters, you name it, call Dave from So Fresh, So Clean Pressure Washing at 724-252-4489. That's 724-252-4489. They're fully insured and offer free estimates. So what are you waiting for? Don't be the outcast in your neighborhood with a dirty house or deck. Call So Fresh, So Clean Pressure Washing today. From what I understand, Ryan, we have a caller.
Yes.
Caller, good. What's your name, sir? Or ma'am?
Good Citizen.
Hello, good citizen. How are you?
How's it going?
It's
All
going.
right, I have a real. If you could just give me like 15 seconds here.
Go take your time.
Okay. So throughout this campaign of the Democrats and the Republicans, I've been listening to them call it, it's like a fight for the democracy. Trump is a threat to democracy. They keep calling the United States of America a democracy. I've read the Constitution front and back, and nowhere does it say that we are a democracy. We are a constitutional republic. Okay? And my point being is that I don't understand how the media, the Congress, the presidents, the ex-presidents, they keep referring to it as a democracy when we are not a democracy at all. Democracy is dangerous because it is mob mentality and the majority rules. We are a constitutional republic which stands up for the minority. Your thoughts on that whole spiel?
Okay, so the founding fathers, say whatever you want about them. They could have had it be a democracy and have just mob rule like you said, but for some reason they chose a different path. And the thing still stands. It's on shaky ground right now, but it still stands 250 years later. So I think the republic's the way to go. Number one, you have you can't have mob rule. You can't have everyone living in New York City or California. If we had a democracy, everywhere would be California or New York. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So I agree completely. I don't know why the media doesn't correct themselves. I don't know. Maybe they polled it and threat to democracy sounds better. That's why they just use that term. But I don't know. I agree with you on the fact that it is a republic. Or, there's a certain reason it's a republic. And if it was a democracy, remember, it'd be a lot easier to cheat if you only had to get 50% of the votes, because they could just bring in a bunch of illegals every election cycle like they're doing now, and they don't need to separate them into states and win this state, that state, that battleground. It would be done. You wouldn't even see it. You wouldn't even notice it. Just like you don't in California.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, in the primaries, you need delegates to win the vote. I mean, unless you're Kamala Harris, then you don't need anything. But and then in the actual election, you need the Electoral College, which protects us versus big states like you said, California, New York, Illinois, which could just ruin the whole country in a heartbeat. And then that they're trying to get Puerto Rico in and Washington D.C. to become states to vote. So, yeah, it just drives me crazy because it's not just the politicians. It's not just the commercials. It is like MSNBC, Joe Scarborough, Jen Psaki, Rachel Maddow with CNN's Wolf Blitzer. Then Fox News, Jesse Waters says it. Laura Ingraham says it. Sean Hannity says it. It just drives me crazy.
It does. It drives me crazy, too. But thank you so much for your call.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So what are we talking?
Mockingbird Media.
Yes, Mockingbird Media. We got to have our buddy Jake Angeli Chansley on. You know him as the QAnon shaman, the American shaman. We got to have him back on in a couple episodes here. He's our expert on the Mockingbird Media. What were we talking about before? Oh, the So Fresh, So Clean pressure washing. By the way, Ryan, I am still impressed with how my plastic shed looks. So they put like some kind of smooth smelling sort of like pink mist on my shed. It was dirty from cutting the grass, had stuff all over it. Washed it off. It's shining after.
Wow. I'm going to have to give them a call.
Yeah. But speaking of pink mist, I just want to remind our audience that it's been less than a fortnight ago since someone tried to turn President Trump's head into pink mist. They never thought Trump would survive, and now they're going to have to explain what happened. And the excuses they're just coming up with now are absolutely ridiculous. Mark, jump in whatever you want. It's been 2 weeks. We have zero answers. What's worse is after Congress heard from both the Secret Service director and the FBI director, we still have zero answers. Chris Wray yesterday was pretty worthless, but he implied that U.S.-based Iranian threats may be connected to the Trump assassination. Now, do we believe the FBI all of a sudden wants to tell the total truth, or is Chris Wray giving half-truths? It's convenient the news reported they knew of a threat from Iran after the attempted assassination. Maybe it wasn't really Iran. Remember, though, whoever it is, you got to think instant declaration of war. Who wants a war with Iran very bad? Remember, it's probably us. I'm not accusing anyone, but Iran's president just died in a helicopter crash in thick fog a month or two ago? That's all I'm going to say. Chris Wray, he knows the FBI and DHS are involved, and he continually lies about it. But, Mark, let's go over some new revelations and jump in whenever you want here. So, Crooks' ladder, which he purchased prior to the shooting, was not found at the Butler Farm Show where the shooting took place. Instead, it was found about a 5-minute walk from the scene on Meridian Road, along with his backpack containing a drone. Let me know if you want to stop on that or keep on going, because it gets crazier from here. Ray.
Well, Christopher Wray testified that the ladder he bought was not used to climb the roof.
We'll get into that, though, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Bonji, well, yeah, okay. He used the AC unit in the pipe. That's right, okay.
Yes.
No ladder was used or needed, but you brought that up. How the hell did he know he needed a ladder that day to begin with? And why did he leave it in the field, right?
Well, just today, I believe, there was another whistleblower from, I think Josh Hawley posted this, Senator Josh Hawley posted this on his X account about there was contradicting statements made by, was it the Beaver County? Anyways, the point I'm trying to make is they offered the Secret Service drone services.
Yes.
And they denied them.
Yes. I don't know if it was the state police or local police. It might have been I don't want to comment. I don't know. I don't know for sure.
Here we go. Catherine Herridge. According to one whistleblower, the night before the rally, the U.S. Secret law enforcement partner to utilize drone technology to secure the rally. Ask yourself why they would do that.
No answer. Again, it's been 2 weeks, still don't have an answer. But Dan Bongino's given us more answers than Chris Wray. I don't know how. Again, he said last week the ladder everyone saw from the picture was from the local police getting on the roof. It wasn't from that kid. That ended up being right. But Wray did say Crooks was flying a drone 200 yards away from the Trump stage, 200 yards, and that he may have been live streaming it for 2 hours before the incident. And then the drone recovered in Crooks's vehicle. Wray said he didn't know which one, but he flew one around the area, not the stage, but the area. And that was around 3:50 to 4 p.m. And that was the live stream the vicinity. And no one batted an eye of a drone flying around. That is insane to me.
Well, we're going to have a caller on Monday who was at the rally, someone who's reached out to me. And this person stated that they actually have a photograph of a drone over the crowd. Now, we can make of it what you want. But, I think we're going to hear from this person on Monday.
I can't wait.
And on that note, I got to get going, Joe. So
all right.
I will talk to you guys over the weekend.
Thank you so much, Mark. We'll see you on Monday.
See you, man.
All right, let's continue on here with the hearing. So Wray said that Crooks used encrypted messaging apps. Jim Jordan said that he wanted Congress to have access to those messages, which I'd like to see what's on those. Wray also said investigators recovered 3 explosives devices, 2 in a vehicle and 1 at home. They were relatively crude, but could have detonated remotely. The receivers for the explosives were in the off position, so even if Crooks tried to detonate them, they would not have activated. But the one explosion found at the home, that's odd, right? Considering, I think it was Eli Crane, what he said last week. I think he said that Thomas Crooks' home, according to the investigator, looked so clean, it looked like a medical lab. And spoiler, that's not because they use So Fresh, So Clean pressure washing. Shout out to them again. It's just very weird. And if you see the Crooks' father, he doesn't look like a very clean person, not to be rude. That's all I'm going to say. But I think it was, Eli Crane, he even insinuated there was no silverware found in the house. That's strange. We learned that. Also, 8 spent shell casings were recovered on the roof. So it begs the question, he really fired 8 shots before anyone else got a shot in. I mean, Ryan, was it just me or was last week, wasn't it 3?
Yeah.
Again, we could be wrong. But now the story changes. Wray says there were at least 2 instances where the FBI officials expressed, wait for this one, disappointment that Trump survived the assassination attempt. That's amazing. So how can we count on people investigating this, the FBI, to even give us anything honest? And a video surfaced of officers on a roof talking to a man in a gray suit. Didn't they tell us last week that the local law enforcement, they weren't wearing their body cams? Now we find out that they were. Something doesn't add up. Remember, it's the cover-up that always gets you.
And the AR-14, that's a semi-automatic. That's not automatic. So he literally pulled the trigger 8 times before they pulled the trigger on him.
Apparently, according to the shell casings,
that's a lot of
found
shots.
on the roof.
Especially when you have him in the crosshairs.
Yes. I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist unless the guy in the gray suit's up there dropping a couple shells.
Yeah.
I mean, that's total conspiracy land over there. I don't know. Let's see I think this is from our own Beaver County Radio. Officers left posts to go look for Trump rally gunmen before shooting. State police boss says, and yes, this is Beaver County Radio, our own Facebook page. Check out the article. You can find, like I said, the story on Beaver County's Facebook page. Let me know if it makes sense. I commented, okay, so who gave them the order to abandon their post and look for a threat on the ground? Because that can't be standard protocol. Also, the second floor window the guys were stationed at would have gave a clear line of sight to the roof. So again, who told the two officers occupying a building with perfect line of sight to the podium where President Trump was about to speak, which was also conveniently outside the Secret Service perimeter, to leave their post and search for a man on foot when there was a lot of other personnel capable of doing that day, right? Am I not right? Like, why would you have the people guarding the building and the roof, the second floor, go down the floor and look for the guy? Wouldn't they be better off up there looking? We're raising a lot of questions. What time is it? We got to come back. We're going to cover how Josh Shapiro may be linked to this assassination attempt, our own governor. Stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss this. You're listening to Thinking Logically on 99.3 WBVP.
PA Cyber presents Midland Music Mondays at Lincoln Park every Monday at 6:30 p.m. On July the 29th, enjoy the Eric DeFade Band in the park, rain or shine. Food truck service begins at 5. It's sponsored by Beaver County Radio.
The place for news, sports, and entertainment. You're listening to Beaver County Radio, 99.3 FM and WBVP, live from the all-new Fry Transportation Studios.
You know, when Joe Biden shuffles in front of the cameras to answer scripted questions during the day, he lies like Don King. But what you don't know is, when he goes to sleep at night, he lies like an Egyptian king because he uses MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. Grown only in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River, its long staple cotton makes it ultra soft and breathable. Use the promo code LOGIC to maximize your savings on this amazing product.
Hey guys, it's Joe from Thinking Logically here to tell you about a company I've been using since I got my learner's permit. Grossi & Associates. Using their state-of-the-art equipment, Grossi & Associates offers collision repair for all makes and models, both foreign and domestic. There's a reason why they are voted Best of the Valley year in and year out. They are the collision experts. Grossi & Associates. Call today for a free estimate.
Cash for your house. PGHbuyers.com. If you have an unwanted house but don't want the hassle of selling, visit PGHbuyers.com to see if PGHbuyers.com can help. No inspections and a fair cash offer. Visit PGHbuyers.com to sell that unwanted property for a fair price today.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Welcome back to Thinking Logically here on 99.3 FM WBVP. We promised you news about Josh Shapiro and this Trump assassination, how he could possibly be linked to it. He is our governor. We live in Pennsylvania. Jill Biden, where was she that day, Ryan? Do you remember?
She was in Pennsylvania.
Throwing some dice down rivers. That's
Yeah.
right. So why was she in Pennsylvania? Whatever, she can travel. She's not campaigning. She's not campaigning for president, but she was in Pennsylvania. And I remember the story. They peeled away a couple secret security officers to go to her detail.
Yes.
Well, this is coming from J.D. Sharp on X. He raises the question, why do you think Josh Shapiro helped set up a hit on Trump on July 13th in Butler, PA? And he gives a couple examples of why. The Secret Service agents that day consisted of mostly women and part-time DHS members. The Secret Service allowed crooks to smuggle a weapon in, a ladder, a rangefinder, likely a scope, all this being aware of him for 3 hours, watching him climb on the roof, photographing him while on the roof, and allowing him to get 8 shots off at Trump. Event-goers recalled how easy it would be to smuggle something dangerous in. The event happened only because Judge Juan Merchan suddenly and randomly pushed back Trump's sentencing in the, quote, hush money case and specifying, if necessary, for the makeup date. The event taking place on grounds with BlackRock-owned building next door. BlackRock. Shapiro's aggressive anti-Trump rhetoric the last 5 years, including outright tweeting the day before the election Trump wouldn't win the state of PA if all the votes were counted, despite being the AG of Pennsylvania at the time. Again, Joe Biden having an event the same day in Pittsburgh with 4 times the Secret Service Trump did at an indoor event. Democrats being known to reward their soldiers who engage in malfeasance, like Anthony Blinken, for getting 51 intel agencies to lie about Hunter Biden's laptop being Russian and ended up being, Blinken ended up being Biden's Secretary of State. Josh Shapiro is being funded by Alex Soros and is close with Doug Emhoff. Josh Shapiro is all of a sudden suddenly the frontrunner for Kamala Harris's running mate. Is any of that weird, Ryan?
It's bizarre.
It's bizarre.
Absolutely.
It doesn't really prove anything, but it's something,
Right.
to watch. I'm sure as governor, he had some kind of input with the state police too. And didn't a state police officer just tell people they were told to abandon the building? Maybe we should ask that state police officer. We need to get the text. Here's how I think this is going to play out. Eventually, in the end, just like the Hunter Biden, it might not happen. It's not going to happen next week. It's not going to happen next month. But 6 months, a year from now, we're going to find out that text from an FBI agent, there was text from an FBI agent to someone else discussing the possibility of an assassination attempt on Trump or his family member, probably from that weekend. And I think the texts are going to be very suggestive that a foreign not Iran, maybe a foreign ally was behind it. It's just there's two. I don't want to get into much. Just put that in your brain. Try to put a little note there to remember that always. How much time do we have left? Because a lot of things we got to get to too. This kind of flew under the radar yesterday. Chris Wray said it's not for certain that a bullet was the thing that struck Donald Trump's ear. And he said, I think with respect to former President Trump, there's some question about whether or not it's a bullet or shrapnel that may have hit his ear. Someone still shot at this man 8 times. Ryan, I'm getting really mad here. Again, if you're mad, leave it on the Facebook Live page. Go on Facebook, comment, call in. We'll talk through it. But this thing is ridiculous. I mean, there's literally a photo of the bullet passing right through his ear. Brick Suit even put out a picture and said, some people think a piece of the teleprompter hit President Trump. If only there was someone standing in the front row who took a picture of the teleprompter showing they were undamaged. A picture like this that I took, and they all are undamaged. So how can it be from a teleprompter? Then again, how can it be shrapnel unless it hit off the ground first and bounced back? Again, we're magic bullet theory now, right, Ryan?
Yeah, basically.
And then to tie a bow on the Secret Service, they allowed protesters into Bibi Netanyahu's hotel. I mean, how does that happen? What is the Department of Homeland Security? What is Joe Biden doing? I don't know. Crazy. I don't understand it. I don't understand. We have no answers. I looked at the map. There was Department of Homeland Security actually in a building behind the building where the roof of the shooter was on. That's strange. Why would they be positioned behind him but couldn't see him? I don't know, man. It's crazy. We've got no answers, and it's been 2 weeks. 0 answers, more questions.
Was this rumor, Joe? I mean, I'm just the average mind here. You guys know what you're talking about. I heard initially that there was phone calls that were pinging from his dad's phone near the FBI building in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, we covered that last time. We don't know yet. People on the internet usually beat the FBI. They don't know anything at all about this phone all of a sudden. Whatever. He has encrypted comms. I thought he was a lone wolf. How does he have encrypted comms? Why does he have encrypted comms? Why does he have bank accounts overseas if he's a lone wolf? Doesn't make any... This is Richard Jewell all over again, maybe, except the guy might not be an innocent man. Maybe just a patsy. Maybe he did do something. I don't know. More questions than answers 2 weeks later.
And you nailed it too with the overseas bank account. I mean, come on, the kid's 20 years old. How many 20-year-old kids do you know?
Maybe he's playing online poker. I don't know. All right. A couple other quick headlines here. We got about 3 minutes left. So a former aide to Governor Kathy Hochul reportedly had her $3.5 million Long Island home raided by the FBI early Tuesday. The feds carried out the pre-dawn search of the 5-bedroom property where Linda Sun, one of Hochul's former deputy chief of staffs, lived in a gated community in Manhasset. The reason for the raid? Still not clear. Neither Sun, who's 40 years old, or her husband has been accused of any wrongdoing, and no arrests were made during the raid. The search warrant was obtained by the U.S. Attorney's Office in Brooklyn, the sources added. The couple had owned the expensive home that was raided until transferring it into a trust in March, property records show. Who knows? She probably didn't go along with something. I don't know. Maybe, again, have you ever heard of someone getting raided, not arrested? It's P. Diddy all over again. It only happens to these people, not Trump.
Right.
Not Trump. There'll be photos everywhere of the documents everywhere. What else here?
One thing real quick, Joe, that bus that they had on camera, I mean, there was clearly multiple buses, but the bus that you seen in D.C. yesterday with all these people getting off, you hear over time that they're busing these people in. There's no way to track these buses, where they're coming from. I mean, there's serial numbers. How is nothing being accomplished?
How could you be so obtuse? There'd be serial numbers. There'd be drivers with W-2s. Right. There'd be cameras on the bus. I know Fry Transportation got cameras on the bus.
Exactly.
I know they ain't messing around.
And I'm seeing people pour off of these buses. I'm thinking, where are they coming from? I mean, it was wild. It was wild to see.
They're just patriotic Americans,
I guess,
that want to support Hamas. Liberal white women. All right. Also breaking, Janet Yellen announces the U.S. is committing, brace for impact, $667 million to the pandemic fund to help, quote, prevent the next pandemic. Prevent the next pandemic. We don't even know it's here. Is it here? Again, it's an election year. Have your head on a swivel for everything. I think they're telling you the quiet part out loud here.
Get ready for the curb. Wasn't that what it was? A curve, a 2-week curve?
Yeah, you got 2 weeks to beat the curve, whatever it was. And then it turned into almost 2 years. It would have been 20 years if they wanted it. All right. Also, the House will leave for the summer. I think that's today. Today is their last day, I think. So the House is out of commission, I think, until after Labor Day. So God forbid anything needs to get done. That's an interesting tidbit to pay attention to. Like I said, I've been in the show for 2 years, Ryan. I've never seen a news cycle like this before. And when I say like this, it's too much. There's too much news. 2 days isn't even enough. 2 hours a week, it's not enough.
Yeah.
How much time do we have left? All right, that'll be about it for today. Anything else before we head out of here, Ryan?
No, you guys hit everything right on the head today. Great show.
All right, we'll see how this ages, this episode. But again, the show is Thinking Logically. Follow us on Facebook. We argue with people in the comments. You will not be disappointed. Check us out on the Beaver County Radio's Facebook Live page. You can watch it live. You can comment. We'll interact after or during, I promise. We'll be back here on Monday for another episode of Thinking Logically, 5 to 6 p.m. Don't miss it. There could be a lot of news by then. I'm Joe Corsi. Thanks for tuning in.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP.